Hello, adventurers, and welcome to our second season of the Random Adventures podcast. This is our first episode of the year, and I'm back in the studio with Ranger Liz.
Hello.
And Lich Lord Brian.
Hello.
I have gotten my position back.
That you have. We're sorry about not having a podcast up last week, but unfortunately, Ranger Liz failed her fort save versus disease.
I did. I was very sick.
I failed my sneak test to get past the quarantine.
Yep. So, what can we say? We are sorry, but hey, disease and such win out sometimes.
No, we can't. I was going to say we could have said we were drunk off New Year, but that hadn't happened yet.
So, this week, we will be talking about, we'll actually be starting a series about creating memorable characters. And we're going to start with, of course, how do we, do it, and some of the tricks for making your characters really kind of stick out with you. So, Ranger Liz.
Well, one thing that I have always heard is don't make yourself the character. And I actually, in a part way, disagree with that. Because for the longest time, I always tried to make characters that had absolutely nothing to do with me. And then I knew nothing about that character. I didn't know how to play him. I had no idea really what their mindset was. I had no way to relate to them. So I sort of came up with my own little trick of applying at least one aspect of myself, whether it be an aspect that I like about myself or an aspect that I maybe absolutely hate about myself, to that character. And maybe I'll amplify it. I'll make that aspect seem worse than what it is for that character. And then I role play with that. Then I have something I can relate to with this person. I understand more about what's going on inside their head. And I'm able to think about more about what they're thinking about when they're in certain situations, because I have a point at which I can relate to with them. So, yeah, you don't necessarily want to role play yourself, but at the same time, don't ignore the fact that you have experience and you know how to be a character. You are, in a way, your own character, so you know how to act. So if it helps having something to relate with, go with that. The other thing I like to do is, let's say if I just had an argument with someone and I walked away and I'm steaming mad, sometimes I'll stop and I'll think about what my most current characters would have done in that situation. And I'll spend a lot of time actually thinking about that, and sometimes I'll even catch myself laughing at what they would have done. And that also helps.
Is it most commonly an arrow through the throat?
No, actually, it generally sometimes it deals with humiliating the person, sometimes they would have probably slapped them across the face, or just being very witty. I'm more of a quiet, okay, you're yelling at me, I'm just going to stand here, and now I go, yeah, yes, you have a point, and then walk away steaming mad. That's my approach. But some of my other characters are more, like, they'd be more willing to twist that person's words around, which I would have noticed, I had noticed, but I am more the pacifist. I will just stand there and go, and think, you are a real idiot. If you actually listened to what you were saying, you would realize that. So, or other situations. There's other times where I'll sit there and go, what would happen if these three characters that I made up, one of them bought McDonald's but didn't buy anything for anyone else? How would the other two react? And I actually drew a little picture of that. So, just different things. Think about how different situations go with your characters.
Okay.
I think the most successful I've ever been at making a character memorable was for your Shard campaign.
Uh-huh.
And I think part of the reason I did that is when I came up with the character, I came up with kind of a gimmick for the character first because I thought it'd be funny. But after I came up with that gimmick, I actually went a little bit more in depth with the character background than I've normally done, and by that I mean a lot of times when people ask for a character background, I have a tendency to when I submit it, it's more of a list of actions that a character has done, and when all you think about is a list of actions, it really doesn't get you involved with the character.
Mm-hmm.
However, with your shard campaign, because I went with the gimmick of having no short-term memory, I actually had to force me to think of a reason why is this character adventuring? Why is he associated with people he doesn't know? How would that be handled in some way that could even be remotely workable? And that's how I came up with the concept. His brother tagged along with us for a little while, and it worked out really well because his brother was a calming influence on him, especially in the morning when he's more disorientated. And he only really flew off the rails when the adventure was forced to leave my brother behind.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was a character where it's like, okay, if his brother's not there, how does this happen? What happens when he doesn't remember where he is? How and since he had more than the short-term memory loss, he was also prone to aggression. It gave him a situation where if he doesn't know where he is and he can't think of it,
and he was scared of new people,
and he's scared of the new environment, and he's just panicking over where he is, he became violent and would tear up rooms. So I think one of the things I probably should work on is instead of submitting my characterizations, and this is something anyone can work on, is when you're thinking about your character's background, instead of just thinking about all the, of their training, how necessarily they got it, think of them as a character, what kind of things they might have experienced, and just think of like how the character would act in his comfort zone, maybe outside his comfort zone, and what the character's comfort zone is. What is things the character knows well, and just think more generally and specifically into the actual characterization rather than submitting a character that is a list of actions that he or she has done.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, because if you have a list of actions, when you go into play the character is going to turn out to be just a series of actions rather than an actual character. So that drawing from my probably only real great success in making a memorable character, and why I think that character was memorable, and how I was able to characterize him. That's what I would say is a good idea for anyone creating a character.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of build off what Ranger Liz said for a moment. There are certain things that just really get to me, that really boil me over. I don't know why these things boil me over so much, but they do. And I will give them to my characters as things that they absolutely despise, detest, that they will go out of their way to seek out people who possess these qualities and destroy them. So I had one person who actually looked over one of my characters and said, this was an exalted character, so I had listed out my, intimacies, and he's like, huh, that's odd. Your last character had a almost similar set of hates in his intimacies. I was like, what can I say? No matter what kind of character you're playing, there are certain lines that that a character that you play will not cross and will not let others cross.
And I have to say, I enjoyed in our last Iron Kingdoms campaign forcing you up against that line.
Yep. Yeah, and that was another thing. That character, my paladin of the Order of the Wall,
Your Warcaster Knight.
Warcaster Knight, he just went, no. And rather than forsake everything that he...
Well, I'm not talking about the Doom Reaver plotline. That plotline was me going, I don't want this campaign to end anymore. I'm returning everyone into Doom Reavers. It was actually me. I've run out of ideas. Everyone's going to turn into a Doom Reaver. I'm more talking about how you were forced to associate with a Thamurite, and how you were forced to save the Thamurite from a Morrowind group that was set to destroy all Thamurites in the area. That was my thing, because I made pains to portray the good Morrowinds in a negative light, while portraying the guy who was actually giving your missions, the Thamurite, in a positive light, and force you to not necessarily, because your character was Menite, and Menites
don't like either group.
Yes, but they're willing to work with Morrowinds as long as they're persecuting Thamurites. So I made your character having to switch that a little bit.
Yeah. In this case, it was more of the devil you know over the devil you don't know.
Plus, I enjoy switching at least switching the roles in those groups for that game. But back to characterization.
Yeah. Music. Music is what I'm going to talk about. And I find that one thing that helps me to write that compelling backstory, to develop that compelling personality and bring out those personality elements that you talked about, Liz, is music. I will listen to certain songs driving to a game. I will put them on my phone, put them on my tablet, whatever, so that I can listen to them as I drive to the game. I will want to listen to certain, playlists because they put me in the mood for that game. Because they put me in the mood for my character. And I think it's always a good idea to have some kind of music on while you're working with your character. I actually see a big difference in my characters, those who I have music associated with and those who I don't. I had one character who had the song Vita La Vida by Coldplay
Sorry.
as his theme. That character was, honestly, his game was cut way too short. I found that I was putting that and The Impossible Dream.
Which character was this?
This was not a character in a game you were in.
Okay.
It was my first game of Exalted. So, it was an Exalted first edition game, and I had those two songs playing. And they helped me to form this heroic, knightly image in my head of what I wanted this character to be. He was the guy who would reach for that impossible star, no matter how far away it seemed.
So Don Quixote.
Yes, he was Don Quixote. Another character I had who I also liked was named Tal Raja. And he was a Twi'lek swordsman in a Star Wars game. And he had been captured. He started off his life as, or at least his adult life, as the pleasure slave of a Hutt gangster / pirate. And he...
I think I can shudder again.
And so he learned to use the only weapon that he was allowed to go near. a sword.
Oh, okay.
Why? Because if he tried to turn on them using a sword, all the other gangsters and pirates could gun him down before he could get into range to use the sword.
Okay.
So they felt it was safe for him to, have that.
I personally don't. I wouldn't let any of my slaves have access to weapons.
Well,
He's got a rock. Take the rock.
Well, that's why you're a Lich Lord.
yeah. And not a pirate lord.
Well, actually, if we're going off a Lich Lord, I would kill my slaves and then reanimate them. That's the Lich Lord. The fact that you're using human slaves means you're not a Lich Lord because they're still alive.
Yes. But with Tal Raja, I had some Spanish music that I would play.
Okay.
Because that kind of got me into that. It conjured up images like Zorro and that more flary kind of...
Do you have Princess Bride in the background?
No. But Tal was... He was excellent. His group used to refer to him as Slugbait.
Refused to or did?
Did.
Okay.
They called him that constantly.
Okay.
Particularly one of the members of the group. So, those are two just very memorable characters I've had who I've been able... Well, who I was able to form through music. And, one of whom I just really wish I could have gotten more play. But there's a third one I had. This is from my first actual successful Exalted game. His name was Ramiel. He was a Infernal Exalted. And with him, he was a father. So I actually put... His song was Zoe Jane.
Okay.
And if you could picture, you had this Slayer cast not hulking brute, but just strong person, obviously, decked out in star metal armor, carrying a stole steel battle axe in the other hand. And riding up on his shoulder is his daughter.
That's a bad father. You're taking your daughter into battle with you? Did she have armor?
Yes, actually she did.
Okay, you're fine.
She had a living armor demon.
Okay, you're better off then. You're a little bit better then.
Yes. And as soon as he would get into the fight, he'd be like, "Okay, dear."
Oddly enough, it's reminding me of a picture I've seen.
And then...
Father with a daughter, but close enough.
Yeah. But that was him. That was Ramiel. And he did not tolerate child abuse at all, because his moment of exaltation came when his wife and daughter were originally taken from him by slave traders.
Okay.
When he found his wife again and was about to be reunited with her, he found her dead on a trash heap.
Aww.
And when he found his daughter, he found her in a brothel. So he rescued her from that life and killed everyone in there. Pretty much.
So was this character inspiration for Liam Neeson's character in Taken?
Actually, I hadn't seen Taken yet, but honestly, I think the two would compare notes. But yeah, actually, I'd seen the trailer for Taken. But
I would have originally assumed that you made this character long before Taken, but...
Actually, I think... I want to say the first trailers were coming out at about that time.
Okay.
And, but yeah, he just really sticks with me because he was just almost what I picture a good father to a daughter being like. Because he put everything, even his mission given to him by the being that gave him his power, put all of that after the needs of his daughter.
Okay.
I kind of want to bounce back to something Brian had mentioned because it also has worked with me, and it's also kind of something that you are away mentioning is that a little quirk, adding a little something odd about your character. I have also done some other role plays where like I had a character that was absolutely terrified of one knew, in particular men, because he was abused a lot by a man, and so physically just beaten up. So he was terrified of men, and that made an interesting character. Where I was like, I wonder how he's going to react to this person. This is a woman, and he tends to not be as scared of them, but he's still scared, and so forth. And it adds a little interest of fun to it. Like, one thing I still haven't been able to do because the games always end or something before I get to actually play him, is playing a mute character.
Yes, I had really. I know you had made that one mute exalted character.
Mm-hmm.
I was really looking forward to getting this know that character.
Yeah, I kind of was too, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, unfortunately, that game kind of imploded due to a certain player who shall go nameless.
Yes.
Okay.
You're not involved in this one.
Yeah, you weren't. Think about how many times we both played Exalted together.
Not often.
Yeah, I tend to run away from it. Nathan managed to talk me into joining this online one, but next week I kind of would like to talk to more of the GMs about helping characters develop characters, because that's something I could probably go on for another half hour on.
Yeah, a lot of times anyone who asks for a thing just says, "Give me something, a page or something." And it's like, okay.
We'll come back next week and we'll have Ranger Liz and Lich Lord Brian educate us GMs, and I'll be weighing in from the GM's point of view.
I can weigh in from that too. I
Yeah.
probably should do a little bit better asking for character backgrounds and things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be talking at this point as a GM. I will not be actually running a game.
With that, we will go to our closing question, which comes to us courtesy of the internets.
Oh.
Yes.
The internet's provided a question.
Internet's provided a question for us.
Dang, they're making me look bad. I haven't provided one yet.
Well, that's okay, because we asked for questions from viewers like you. So please, leave them in the comments section. It's right down there.
So,
you guys are awesome.
So on to the question.
On to the question, yes. Well, our question is, what is the moment where you made your biggest in-character oops?
First character ever when I took a ranged flying character and charged into melee against a brain-eating plant. I would say that's probably my biggest oops ever. Simply because that is probably the dumbest thing you can possibly do with a ranged character.
Oh.
So.
Would have been my first oops. Biggest oops that didn't turn out to actually be good at the end. I want something that really was a big flop.
Well, mine
Yeah.
killed my character. So.
Yours
yours
killed your
killed your character.
So yeah, that would be the biggest one. Raptoran Warlock, ranged character, flying character. Yeah, don't charge that into melee.
So there were so many flops that I did do that somehow managed to work out in the end, but I think I know which one it was. Okay, my awesome albino gnoll cleric. Notice that his character was as evil could be. And so she decided to go in and corner him. And this was like the first day I came to the table with her, so Dad even remembers her.
Okay.
And I went in. You were like in you're going to go to sleep because I was deciding to do this at night.
Okay, which campaign was this again?
This was
The final
3.5. Yeah.
The final 3.5 before 4th edition came out.
Okay.
Where your character turned into a giant demon and brought about
That's
the
the one.
apocalypse.
That's the one. Yes.
So I noticed that he was on his path to evil. I did not like the choices that he was going to do, so I was going to stop him. So I went in,
I remember
cornered
this now.
him, and you slaughtered me. I was like, I am not going to let you do this, and you just completely slaughtered me. So I think, because
I'm going to go with my first 4th edition game. I was playing a Tiefling Warlock. Surprise, surprise!
He's part of the reason why everyone says tieflings only are warlocks.
And what did I do? We were in this room. Everybody else was sneaking around the middle. I was like, there's absolutely no reason to do this. I'm just going to walk down the middle of this big empty room. It's a big empty room. It's big, mostly empty room. There's a little island in the middle of it somehow with a palm tree in
there
it.
was some water in that room.
And there's a little, couple of inches of water on the ground. I just start walking, and I'm way ahead of the group, and I get to this little island with the palm tree on it. And I'm just like, okay, I'm ahead of them. I'm just going to take a break. And the DM says, well, hey, you're on a nice island. It's calm. You can kind of hear waves rolling in. You're very relaxed. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to take a nap. Well, I wait for them. Because this is total tortoise in the hare here. Except I can catch a 5-minute nap, and they're still not going to get to the door on the other side of this thing before I do.
Okay, I'm remembering this now. I just can't remember what happened next.
Well, I took a nap, and that nap triggered an attack from all of the monsters. Basically, turned all the monsters in the dungeon on, and they started pouring out of the walls. I was being attacked, and instead of coming to help me, they made a beeline right for the door because I guess some sort of secret panel had opened up in the wall near them, and more of these crocodiles were starting to come in.
Yes, that was another part.
Until then, just remember,
Don't kill us for PCs. And leave us comments.
But kill the
And
Max.
like and subscribe if you are interested.
hit that subscribe button
You can
if
kill the
you'd like
Max,
to.
though.
if you'd like some more of our videos. And go ahead and hit the like button. It should be around there also. The more likes we get, the more we know we're doing something right. It's somehow how I know that people like to see me cook. They also love Exalted.
Okay.
That's because nobody just got me. Really like comments. Really do.
Yes, we'd love comments. Please leave them. Also, again, if you'd like your question to be our question of the week, go ahead and leave it in the comments.
Oh. I am going to be continuing playing Half-Life now that I am feeling better. And I would like to know, I will be recording it regardless, but if you want to see it, leave a comment letting me know, because the last one I think only got 4 views and one of them was Brian. So that makes me go, well, is it really worth putting it up?
I want to see it. As soon as I post my playthrough of Outlast, I will hopefully get comments about that.
And we are playing Werewolf still, and I am editing the audio for that, and I will be trolling some basic pictures for it. They're probably not going to be anything fancy, but you'll have something to look at.
Yep. So we'll look forward to seeing that.
Excellent.